themselves the search for existential answers by playing predefined roles throughout their life. Sartre named such a human as somebody with bad faith. Marshall defines such a person as functional man. When the self exists in the world, it goes through many conditions. One such condition is the state of dread. Dread needs the existence of other objects in the world. There is another somewhat similar state, anxiety. For anxiety, an interaction with the other is not needed. It is a self-induced state. Anxiety comes out of our understanding of the total freedom of choice that confronts us every living moment. An individual has to decide his actions every moment, and this shapes his future. Anxiety also comes forth from the individual's confrontation with nothingness. Sartre states nothingness is our inherent lack of self. We are in constant pursuit of a self. Nothingness is the creative wellspring from which all human possibilities can be realized. Our awareness of death can bring us freedom or anguish. Existentialist philosophers use the Danish term angst rather than anxiety to define the condition of insecurity and despair. Look at the painting presented here. This is a painting done by Edvard Munch, the great Norwegian modern master. For an existentialist, the being and the world are not static but dynamic. Every being is in a state of becoming, in a state of continuous change. The constant flux and momentum of everyday existence, the feeling of pain, dread and angst find expression through this masterwork. Sartre says that every imaginary presentation of the world is an act of a freedom speaking to other freedoms about possible ways of engaging freedom in the world. In this sense, the above painting is also a statement about human freedom. To an existentialist, meaning is generated continuously by the being in its interaction with the other. What an artist does is to impose a structure, a possibility of meaning to a chaotic world and present it within the framework of specificity. A choice of freedom taken by the artist reveals a fundamental existential attitude towards the world, and this attitude finds its expression in the work of art. But it is to be stressed that the manifestation of subjective expression found in a work of art is not that which is essentially important, but the statement of freedom embedded within it. Thus, artistic practice is linked to ethical and political choices. The danger here is that the artist can have a bad faith and base his choice upon it. The stress on decisive subjective choice makes an existentialist work different from an artwork of romanticism. Freedom and self-determination are active notions for the existentialist, while in a romantic work, nature takes over the self-determination of the artist. But existential writer Camus, in his book The Outsider, creates instances where, to liberate oneself from the illusion of meaning, one abandons the self in communion with nature or indulge in eroticism. This may also be taken as a hedonistic escape from freedom due to bad faith. It is the intention of the artist which creates meaning. Imagination is a specific type of intentional activity. The capacity of imagination can be seen as a very clear act of human freedom in deriving meaning. It is an act of creation. It exists in presence and absence. To explain it better, remember that for imagining the other, the presence of other is not needed. The other may be attributed new qualities and transformed into new forms in imagination. In imagination, the absence of the object is embedded together with nothingness. It is absent here and now, thus stands outside space and time. Imagination thus offers freedom than perception. This is the freedom employed by artists through their intentional choice of actions. The artist enjoys the freedom of choice to select certain parts from the other and discard some, give a new order in arranging them. This intentional act creates order and meaning to the represented. So, artistic practice is a visible presentation of human freedom. It demonstrates that humans are capable of recreating a new world from the given world. Imagination happens inside human consciousness. A particular worldview is established by consciousness as an act of its intention to impart structure to the outside world. This is a human faculty related to the capacity of language. An artist is a person who holds a specific world perspective in a coherent way. This distinguishes an artist from a common perceiver. The painting The Scream by Edward Munch may appear to stand in reverse to what we have stated now. It appears to have dissolved the ordered structure of the world and introduces chaos. It is not so. Edward Munch has created a new order. He gave form to the chaos of dread and angst one feels. Imagination alters the forms of the world to a more meaningful expression of its real nature. Munch is a creator of a new order, a new style with a coherent worldview, and it is a pure expression of human condition. Here, the existentialists can be stated as attributing artists with special power. This theory may appear in par with the Romantics' theory of genius, but the existentialist artists are theoretically placed at a position of failure. Expressive activity can only be an attempt of the expression of human freedom. It succeeds only in imagination. In real world, it will fail because sensory perception presents a world wherein there is too much to reveal. Examining the above point will make it clear why most of the existentialists considered theatre to be more expressive in a system of arts. It is imagination contained within real world. Sartre has also made a sharp differentiation between an artisan and an artist. An artisan is someone whose inspiration comes from a concept within a known method of production. He is also aware of the specific function which the manufactured object will be used for before beginning the process of production. It is predetermined. Because of that, for an artisan, essence precedes existence. This process differs from a real artist who continues to make choices of selection during the process of creation. The traditional religious theory of creation of the world also follow the artisan pattern. According to Sartre, God in traditional religion is conceived to be a craftsperson. The art critic Harold Rosenberg, while talking about existentialism in relation to abstract expressionism, stated that a painting is a metaphor of life, where every decision has to start something new. This viewpoint is somewhat different from the pessimistic view on subjectivity opted by most of the atheistic existentialists. Because of their allegiance to human subjectivity, they rejected the idea of abstraction and preferred representation in art. Accordingly, art with human figuration is considered closer to the leftist position proposed by existentialists like Sartre. Sartre's famous book Nausea centers around the theme of the body. A human subject is aware and tormented by the existence of the body. Likewise, the body of the painting, the real material with which it is made, became a theme in itself for artists. This started during 1900s in the Fauvist movement. Later art movements in Europe, contemporary to the important existential thinkers, can be seen to ponder similar existential questions. An important group of this period is the Cobra group. Cobra artists never tried to idealize the human condition or present an abstract reduction of reality. They used figuration to express the horror and boredom of living. Francis Bacon also was contemporary to Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir. His paintings show the existential human condition in all its fury. Bacon's paintings tell the anguish, torment and boredom of the human subject. Artists like Edward Munch pondered more on inner existence of the subject through his works like The Cry, Anguish, so on. In Bacon, we see that the body in its physical and material form is tormented by the physical world through the conflict. He has painted more than 30 versions of Pope Innocent X, a painting done by Velázquez in 1650s. The 17th century master paints the Pope to be in calm repose. In Bacon's 20th century version, the figure is transformed into a representation of torment. Giacometti is also considered to be a prominent artist whose works contain existential anguish. It was Sartre who wrote a preface to his exhibition of 1948. In it, Sartre states that Giacometti's figures represent the human. They are the epitome of existentialist humanity, alienated, solitary and lost. But Giacometti never claimed himself to be an existentialist. Other artists like Jean du Buffet, Jean Fortrier and Walls also became associated with existentialist philosophy at the time. A painter who is contemporary to us and is significant in terms of existential thought is Anselm Kiefer. His artworks stand more closely towards the metaphysical school of existential thought. But as a dialectic contrast, he experiments with material. One example is the sculpture of a cloud which was created by using the metal lead. Only the form of the object is retained and its subjectivity totally altered. Existentialist elements found in all these artists may be summarized as follows. They abandoned the contemporary trend of abstraction to go back to representation. Questions concerning the body and material found expression in these works. The form of the object is distorted through a process of unmaking, thus deforming the object. This was used to represent the conflict of the subject in relation to the world. Maurice Merleau-Ponty in 1945 essay Cézanne's Doubt examined Paul Cézanne's investigations into the phenomena of visual perception. Merleau-Ponty was instrumental in integrating phenomenology to visual perception. Sartre has already done the primary work by integrating certain elements from Husserl. In this essay, Merleau-Ponty argues that the perspective we feel to be real in living is not scientifically geometric, and Cézanne discovered this fact through his post-impressionistic experiments. In this argument, Ponty is advancing the theory of Husserl. Merleau-Ponty's treatise, The Phenomenology of Perception, published in 1945, influenced the later movement of minimalism. Before concluding our session, let us also examine some points of criticism raised against existential thought. It is hopelessly pessimistic in its approach to the question of human existence. The arguments are totally individualistic and isolationist and permits unreasonable freedom to the individual. But a real understanding of existentialist thought will reveal that it was mostly a phenomenological movement. Ethics was given only secondary importance. Above all, the freedom it dealt with was responsible and not hedonistic or destructive. Existentialism was a humanistic movement. It considers subjectivity only as a starting point. Sartre states in treatise Existence is a humanism. What man needs is to find himself again and to understand that nothing can save him from himself, not even a valid proof of the existence of God. In this sense, existentialism is optimistic. It is a doctrine of action, and it is only by self-deception, by confining their own despair with ours, that Christians can describe us as without hope. It is time we conclude this session. Bye till we meet again.
Hello and welcome to the session on mental health. Today we will discuss the concept, its relevance and characteristics and its relation to school. Would you like to understand the concept of mental health? Health is often used to refer to a state of physical, mental, social and spiritual well-being of the individual. Thus, mental health is one of the components of the broad concept of health. It is concerned with an optimum level of emotional and behavioral adjustment of the individual. It is a state of maintaining harmony or balance between the needs, desires, aspirations and attitudes of the individual with respect to the prevailing conditions in the external environment. What today is broadly understood by mental health can have its origins tracked back to developments in public health, in clinical psychiatry and in other branches of knowledge. In 1948, the WHO, World Health Organization, was created, and in the same year the first International Congress on Mental Health took place in London. At the second session of the WHO's Expert Committee on Mental Health and mental hygiene were defined as follows. Mental hygiene refers to all the activities and techniques which encourage and maintain mental health. Mental health is a condition subject to fluctuations due to biological and social factors which enables the individual to achieve a satisfactory synthesis of his own potentially conflicting instinctive drives to form and maintain harmonious relations with others and to participate in constructive changes in his social and physical environment. However, a clear and widely accepted definition of mental health as a discipline was still missing. Significantly, the Darwin's Medical Dictionary does not carry an entry on mental health, whereas the Campbell's Dictionary of Psychiatry gives it two meanings. First, as a synonym of mental hygiene, and second, as a state of psychological well-being. The Oxford English Dictionary defines mental hygiene as a set of measures to preserve mental health and later refers to mental health as a state. In addition, given this polysemic nature of mental health, its delimitation and relation to psychiatry is not always clear. There is a more or less widespread effort to set mental health at least aside from psychiatry and at most as an ever-changing concept which encompasses psychiatry. Mental health covers an elusive and diffuse field, and the term itself encompasses a multiplicity of meanings. For our purpose, the various definitions of mental health can be grouped into three categories such as medical, a psychological or a social phenomenon. The confusion in definition is compounded by the overlapping and merging of the three positions. Mental health as a medical phenomenon. This orientation to mental health carries thinking about biophysiological phenomena and particularly the conception of systems, that is, groups of body organs and parts that together perform one or more vital functions. In medicine, judgment of an individual's health status is made on the basis of an assessment of the adequacy of functioning of these systems. Individual patients' responses are considered against supposedly usual or typical reactions, and sufficient and pattern deviation from these norms leads to a description of him as ill. Mental health too, in its most rudimentary medical meaning, denotes that an individual's psychic system functions at a level deemed satisfactory. In making judgments about the health of an individual, it is necessary to take into account his total functioning, for the malfunctioning of part of a system may be compensated by other body mechanisms. A system functions satisfactorily so long as it is homeostatic, and illness is either the lack of or instability of such a balance. Mental health as a psychological phenomenon. While indeed there is much overlap between the medical and psychological approaches to mental health, there are discernible differences. The focus of psychology has been on the formulation of general laws, and this while the physician's primary focus has been on the deviant or the ill, much of the psychologist's interest is on mental illness. Certainly in clinical practice, psychologists find it necessary to order persons along a continuum. It is at this point in the field of mental health that the medical and psychological orientations become inextricably involved. Whereas the sick well continuum dominates the medical orientation, an abnormal normal continuum characterize the psychological approach. Most of the efforts to measure mental health have ended up as attempts to operationalize medical criteria of mental illness. Nevertheless, the current thinking regarding positive definitions of mental health, according to researchers including individual's attitude toward himself, realization of potential, unification of function, independence of social influences, conception of the world, resilience, and mastery of life. Mental health as a social phenomenon. A third approach to mental health is that which regards mental health as a social phenomenon. Unlike the medical and psychological emphasis on intra-psychic functioning, the social approach focuses primarily on overt behavior. One order of assessment of mental health according to social criteria is provided by measures of performance in social roles. These consist of estimates of the extent to which individuals follow and respond to the community's normative prescriptions and expectations of appropriate behavior in roles related to occupation and work, social participation, use of leisure, and family relations. Now let's proceed to discuss the relevance and characteristics of mental health. The term mental hygiene is closely related to mental health. We use the term hygiene to refer to keeping one and one's living and working areas neat and clean in order to prevent illness and diseases. When we extend this concept to the domain of mind, it stands for the art of developing, maintaining, and promoting necessary behavioral, emotional, and social skills to sustain good, effective, and efficient mental health. One can achieve this by following some basic strategies at mental and behavioral levels in one's daily life. These are described here. At first is reality contact. In order to maintain good and sound mental health, it is important to have a realistic appraisal of one's own reactions, emotions, and abilities. If you are in touch with reality, you may be able to avoid a number of disappointments and frustrations in your daily life. Next is impulse control. A person with healthy adjustment would have good control over his or her behaviors and impulses. So, in order to maintain good mental health, it is necessary that you should be in complete control over your impulsive behaviors. Still another one is the self-esteem. The awareness about oneself is called self-concept. It includes all the statements about I or me expressed in terms of feelings, beliefs and values. The self-concept is sum total of all that a person is aware about his or her own self. Self-esteem is the evaluative component of self. The personal evaluation of self could be either positive or negative. A sense of personal adequacy or positive self-concept is essential for mental health. Then another one is the positive thoughts. The quality of mental health depends on whether we direct our thoughts in positive or negative ways. Negative thoughts generate negative emotions such as anger, hate, jealousy, fear and despair. The effect of such negative emotions on our mind is unhealthy. They also harm the endocrine system. Therefore, in order to maintain good mental health, we need to develop the power of positive thinking, which generates positive emotions such as love, joy, happiness, hope, compassion, empathy and optimism in us. Such emotions strengthen our capacity to cope with various life challenges. In order to understand mental health in a better way, you are required to know the meaning of mental ill health and mental illness. Mental ill health is defined as the absence of the qualities of positive mental health in the individual. For example, if someone among you often displays negative feelings and attitudes about others, you can assume that this person is displaying the characteristics of mental ill health. Mental illness is a broad term which includes almost all the disorders of behavior which are caused by faulty perception, emotion, thinking and attitude. Such individuals have problems in making adjustment with others in the society. Are you eager to know about the indicators or signs of poor mental health? Here are they. Haphazard and disorganized daily life routine. Short-tempered and irritating behavior. Anger and aggressive behavior. Restlessness. Increased or poor appetite and indigestion. Irregular sleeping patterns such as insomnia, disturbed sleep or narcolepsy, that is excess sleep. Poor interpersonal relationships. Anxiety and worry. Negative attitude towards self and others. Withdrawing from relationships. Irregular and abnormal physiological conditions, for example, blood pressure, heart palpitation and pulse rate. Excessive use of drugs, example alcohol, tranquilizers and hallucinogens. Cigarette smoking and use of tobacco in other forms. The described things may cause threat to mental health. If an individual is frequently involved in such behaviors or remains in a particular state for a long period, then it is more likely that he or she may develop various kinds of mental disorders. It is very important to know about the behaviors which sustain mental health. In modern life, scientific and technological advances have created many facilities for comfort. However, if we develop dependency on them, our lifestyle becomes very sedentary and fragile. In order to overcome the risk involved in such a life, we should observe certain precautions and engage in behaviors which promote and sustain good health. Ayurveda, the science of Indian medicine, deals with 4 aspects of lifestyle which can ensure good health in us. These include right food, that is ahara, right recreation, that is vihara, right routine, that is achara, and right thinking, that is vichara. Observing certain practices ensures a healthy and happy life. Let us examine each of these aspects in some detail. At first, we'll discuss food, that is ahara. Food is the most important aspect of life. Compared to non-vegetarian food, vegetarian food is safe and invigorating for a healthy body. For better health, one must eat fresh fruits and vegetables with enough fiber content. Oily, spicy, junk and processed food causes obesity, hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, gastric ulcer and even cancer. Our daily food should contain green vegetables, fresh fruits, beans, honey, curd, milk, butter, oil which provide enough vitamins, minerals, iron, antioxidants and fibers. In addition, there should be a balanced proportion of each category of food in our daily intake. We should also maintain fixed meal times. Chewing food properly and eating in controlled manner are good for health. The second one is routine or ajara. Routine consists of three kinds of activities in which an individual indulges in. These are taking food and doing activities as per the seasonal demands called ritucharya. It means taking food and doing activities in accordance with the seasons. We must eat and act according to the characteristics of seasons. Thus, in summer, we should take light food containing little oil but plenty of fluids such as curd, fruit juice, rice curry and beans. During the winter and autumn seasons, sweet and salty food can be taken in larger quantities such as milk products, vegetable soup, ghee, rice and oily food. During the spring season, light food with less content of oil should be taken such as preparation containing gram and rice. During the rainy season, food with astringent, acidic, salty and sweet taste are taken. Day routine, that is dinacharya, and night routine, that is ratricharya, refer to eating and doing activities according to the time of day and night. One should get up early in the morning before sunrise. Drinking water should be the first act after waking. It ensures smooth excretion of body waste and is a sure remedy for constipation. After excretion of fecals and cleaning of teeth, massage of the body should be done before taking bath. Thus, there should be proper time for each and every activity in the cycle of 24 hours. The third one is recreation or vihara. Doing exercise and morning walk are the most important components of recreation. It makes the body light and strong. It increases the immunity, resistance power of the body and capability to work. During exercise, toxins of the body are excreted with perspiration. It increases the appetite of the individual. The health problems such as heart disease and diabetes are also controlled by daily exercise. Exercise delays the aging process and prevents impotence. It helps in purifying blood as the increased intake of oxygen and expulsion of carbon dioxide helps removal of dead cells from the body. Recreational activities like music also help in maintaining good health. The fourth one is thinking vichara. Sound and positive mental health can only be maintained with right kind of thinking. A person who is mentally fit and healthy has self-satisfaction, accommodative intellect, ability to accept criticism, understanding of the emotional needs of others and self-control. Such individuals are neither driven by greed or lust nor dominated by fear, anger, attachment, jealousy, guilt or worry. On the social front, an individual with a positive thinking enjoys good friendships and earns respect from everybody. Thus, an individual can maintain a sound, healthy and happy life if she or he follows the above health promotion behavior. In this context, a discussion on mental health in school is inevitable. Since a healthy body is the most essential element in determining mental health, There should be provision for play activities, physical exercise and regular medical checkup in schools. Unhealthy competitions leading to the acquisition of jealousy, hatred, etc., and that should be checked. Favoritism and unfavorable comparison should be avoided. In the classroom, a democratic climate should be maintained. Students should be given opportunities for self-expression. They should be helped to face and solve their problems with patience and tolerance. Avoid corporal punishment and encourage self-discipline in the democratic line. Psychological and scientific methods of teaching will automatically create mental health in the children. Mental health of students is very much influenced by mental health of teachers. Mental health of the teacher is much more important than the mental health of the student. If a teacher is not sound in his mental health, he cannot do justice to his students and cannot provide guidance for solving their problems. His maladjustment may have adverse effect on children. Therefore, it is essential to understand the causes of maladjustment of teachers also and to take remedial measures. There are so many programs to improve mental health of teachers. Improving teacher-teacher relation is very important. The success of the school depends upon the cooperation of teachers. The school should provide better environment for creating goodwill among the teachers, for which frequent meetings to discuss the problems and clarify misunderstandings should be held. Another thing is improving teacher-headmaster relations. There is a tendency on the part of the headmaster as well as teachers to blame each other for any failure in the functioning of the school. The headmaster can do a lot of things in order to avoid such a situation and to improve the relations. He should be a friend and guide to his colleagues. Another important thing is arranging in-service courses. The school should arrange in-service courses for teachers to refresh their knowledge of the subjects concerned as well as to familiarize them with innovative methods of teaching. They should be provided with library and laboratory facilities. Conducting seminar is very important. Periodical seminars should be arranged for discussing problems of education. It will provide opportunity of knowing the points of view of other workers in the field through mutual discussion. They keep the teachers abreast with the new trends and developments in the field of education and also provide them with an opportunity to develop a feeling of belonging with the institution as well as the programs. Providing service security is very important. Rules and regulations should be framed to check the exploitation of teachers by private managements who quite often terminate the services of the teachers to satisfy their ego and due to personal prejudices. The teacher should feel secure of his service. Improving teacher-community relation is also very important. The usual criticism about teachers is that wide gaps exist between them and the community. Close relations should be established by community so that the isolation disappears. Let me summarize the session. This chapter provides an idea about mental health. It includes three major headings like concept of mental health, relevance and characteristics of mental health, and mental health in school. Mental health covers an elusive field and the term itself encompasses a multiplicity of meanings. For our purpose, the various definitions of mental health can be grouped into three categories such as medical, a psychological, or a social phenomenon. The confusion in definition is compounded by the overlapping and merging of the three positions. The term mental hygiene is closely related to mental health. We use the term hygiene to refer to keeping one and one's living and working areas neat and clean in order to prevent illness and disease. Since a healthy body is the most essential element in determining mental health, there should be provision for play activities, physical exercise, and regular medical checkup in schools. Now you can try to answer the questions given here. The first question: define mental health as a medical phenomenon. The second one: What are the signs of poor mental health? Third question, briefly discuss 4 lifestyles of Ayurveda to improve health. The fourth one, how to improve teachers' mental health. Hope that you may go through the reference books listed here for further understanding. First book, No Health Without Mental Health by Martin Prince et al. The Lancet, India, 2007. Abnormal Psychology, An Integrative Approach, 2nd Canadian edition by D.H. Barlow, V.M. Durant and S.H. Stewart. Nelson Publication, Toronto, India, 2009. Thank you for watching this program. We can meet again with another topic. Till then, take care.